Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Welcome to my 28th place Remote Duel Extravaganza Zoodiac deck profile. So this is Pure Zoodiac, and I took this to the Remote Duel Extravaganza for the past weekend. Typically, I was actually just for, Sunday, but I did play a little bit of it on Saturday just to get a good feel of how, or what I should change, and a good feel of what the general meta is that everyone is playing. And I'll tell you the changes that I made from the two lists that I ended up deciding between. But let's go ahead and get started into it. I should go over my matchups at the end of this. In fact, I'm going to pull that up in a little bit. But like I said, let's just go ahead and get into it. So we played obviously the one wrap here, the 3 copies of Ram, the 3 copies of Thoroughblade, and the 3 copies of Whiptail. So obviously the 10 zoos, I guess 13 if you count the 10 key, searches everything. And sorry if I start bumping the camera. But yeah, my overall record, by the way, was 5-1, so I had 13 points, and it was top 16 gets a mat, and top 64 gets an invite to another Remote Duel Invitational, so I'm actually pretty excited. I did get my invite for whatever that is. I'm not too sure as to what that is going to be, but I am excited to see what Konami does. Anyways, we are going to move on into hand traps. We play 3 copies of Nibiru, 3 copies of Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring, and we also played 3 copies of Gamma plus the 1 copy of Driver, so I guess I could put the Driver down there. We also played 3 copies of Infinite Impermanence and 2 copies of Effect Failure. So we had a large hand trap lineup, so we played 14. It was pretty crazy, and honestly, I think it did really well. These effect failures were originally Orca's Symbol Skeleton, and if you're unfamiliar, I know that's a thing that comes up in Zeus sometimes. If you can use your normal summon on a Symbol Skeleton, and then you can link off a zoo that you summon back with Chakanine, or just any other card on your field or whatever, into a Galatea, and then overlay that into a Dingirsu to send something to the grave. And then continuously every turn after that, you can bring back the Dingirsu. You can always use it to attach the Orca Symbol Skeleton, or if you want to get extra value, you can just send a card to the field, to the graveyard. Alternatively, you could also summon it off of Megaclops, but get an extra value out of that, since you can send another card, attach a card to it, obviously, so it's super crazy value. But I opted to cut that from my list in favor of the larger hand trap count, and I think that the larger hand trap count did a lot better. I think the Orcus card only came up once in testing, whereas the extra hand traps came up all the time. Then finally, the last monster in the main deck is the 1 copy of Dino Wrestler Pinkertops. But yeah. Also, if you're wondering why I'm not using my Remote Duel setup, it's because it's a little shaky, and I wanted to use my actual stand. Plus, the stand doesn't work for my Remote Duel, since obviously it doesn't capture the whole field, so I can't use it. Anyways, moving on to spells, we played 3 copies of Fire Formation Tenki, and then for the Pot of Archetype, we played 2 copies of Pot of Avarice and 3 copies of Pot of Desires. So all these cards were really good. I don't think there's anything I would change about this. If you're wondering why I played 2 Avarice instead of 3, it's because this really sucks going second, and it really sucks when you don't have cards in the graveyard to target it. So yeah, if I was playing Striker, this is an instant 3-0, but I'm not playing Striker, I'm playing Zoo, so this is a 2-of. That's the best thing for me to explain about that. For 1-of spell cards, the power 1-ofs, we played a 1-of Call by the Grave, 1-of Zoodiac Barrage, and 1-of Monster Reborn. So I actually I played this because I pulled this on one of the gold packs. I think the gold rares look really trash on camera, or at least the remote duels. I'm not sure. Tell me what you think in the comments. I might just not play gold rares anymore, but I think the gold rares look really good in person. But yeah, go ahead and tell me in the comments, I guess. That does it for spell cards, and then for the trap cards, obviously the 3 impermanents, which we already went over, but I consider that more of a hand trap than a trap card. And then 3 copies of Solemn Strike. So I felt like this was a trap card that was good going first or second, so that's why I ended up deciding to play it. But ultimately, I think it was kind of okay. It was very hit or miss. Some games it was like very good. Some games it was really bad. Especially because like this doesn't do anything going second, but like it does like turn 3, which is like sometimes too late in the match. You can't really go, you can't really like activate it turn 2, so it really sucks. 1, I guess, even. Then we're going to go ahead and move on into the extra deck. So obviously Zoo cards, we are playing the 1 Trident and 3 copies of Chakanine. I don't think the third one ever came up. It might have came up like once. So I think I'd probably stick with the 3, especially because I have space in my extra deck. A lot of space, actually. So yeah, and I'm going to show you like where I have space and like where you can cut stuff if you need. But I think that honestly, for the most part, the extra deck is actually perfect. For the most part. Maybe there's like 1 card you can cut, and I'll get to that in a moment. But 2 copies of Tiger Mortar, 2 copies of Borbo, 1 copy of Zoodiac Hammerkong, and you mostly just play this for the name. I think like the targeting protection like came up like once, and even then I just I don't think I even used it for that. But yeah, everything else is like pretty good. Like it was Borbo. I originally had a 1 copy, and then I was like, whoa, this card's really good. I'm playing it at 2. Even though I am playing 1 copy of Zeus, I still felt like the 2 Borbo was the option to go, just because you can still use it as a name. So you can normally your Zoo, overlay your Borbo, then over like a Chakanine or a Tiger and reattach something, or like a Trident to pop something is also really nice. Like you have a lot of utility with a second Borbo. Just getting a extra material is like super good, especially just because like Hammerkong's also used for that. But yeah, typically the Hammerkong is literally just the extra material that you use, and Borbo actually comes up with that sometimes as well. So yeah, that does it for Zoodiac cards. I guess Zeus is like the best Zoodiac card. It's not actually a Zoo card, but you know what I'm saying. Then 1 copy of Zoodiac Megaclops. No, I'm just joking. But yeah, this card is like insane. Today it was actually just kind of decent. There wasn't really like a whole lot of times where this was like the winning card. Maybe like once or twice, but I don't know. A lot of times people had outs to it, like impermanence or just like generic like spell trap removal that like gets rid of this, and it was pretty rough. Zeus also outs your own Megaclops, so be careful about that. Then for the rest of the extra deck, there is a lot of space. There's 4 other spots, but I decided to go ahead and play 1 copy of Omega. So there's 2 reasons for this. 1, because of ciphering Gamma into Driver, make this, and then you can hit a card out of your opponent's hand. It's pretty good. The other reason is against Dogmatica. If they send this, or if they activate Maximus, you can send the Omega to the grave, and then you have utility with Omega since you can shuffle back like a Trident that you use later on in the duel. It's also pretty good for that. And the card you send along with it is 1 copy of Cyber Dragon Nova. So this was really good, and a lot of people did not expect it. And yeah, it was fantastic because you can summon a Makaba for free. Free negation, and typically you just use the Makaba to negate their Makaba. There was one time that I actually just misplayed with the Makaba since I was playing against him, and I ended up summoning the Makaba in defense mode, which I shouldn't have done, and he just used Fleur de Lis to swing over it, and if I would have put it in attack mode, at best case scenario, I would have crashed. Worst case scenario, I would have crashed. But then best case scenario, he would have used the Fleur de Lis, and I could have negated it, and then I would have kept the Makaba altogether. But yeah, I should have summoned it in attack mode. I misplayed, and I think it cost me the match, honestly. But that's my bad. Then the last card we play is 1 copy of Muddragon of the Swamp. So you can switch this out for anything, but I am playing this because I'm playing Super Poly, which we will go over when we get to the side deck as well. But basically, I guess I'll talk about it right now since it's already here. So the idea behind it is I didn't have access to Dark Ruler no more, so I decided to play something that would break a Dragon Link board, or like typically some other boards. Like you can also use it against the Invoke Dogmatica board if you wanted, since you can fuse their spellcasters and Makaba, since they are both light monsters and also machine and spellcaster, so you can fuse them. Since Muddragon just needs same attribute, different type, Against the Dragon Link board, you can fuse the Heretic Seals, Union Carrier, and or Herald of the Arc Light. So typically you just fuse like obviously the Seals and the Herald, and then you can just swing over the Union Carrier. You still have to deal with the Savage somehow, but typically you can just kind of like bait out in the game maybe, and then do it. So that's like fine. Maybe you can also like attempt to bait out the Savage with the Mud Dragon's effect, since you can try and change its type and see if they negate that. I don't know. Maybe. That's just kind of an option. And then moving on into the side deck. So this side deck was... I'm missing quite a few cards, but we're going to go ahead and get into it anyway. So 3 copies of Evenly Matched. These should probably be Lightning Storms, but honestly the Evenlys were fine. They weren't great. I don't know. They're like, I say great, like kind of like loosely here. They were like okay. Sometimes they came up. A lot of times they just kind of sat in my hand, but typically I would just win the game if they sat in my hand anyway. 3 copies of Solemn Judgment. Card's really good going first. I don't think there's anything to say about that. Then 3 copies of Super Polymerization. Obviously, like I said, this should probably be Dark Ruler No More. This should be the Lightning Storm. And then for the remainder of the side deck, we have 3 copies of Cosmic Cyclone, 1 copy of Harpy's Feather Duster, and 2 copies of DD Crow. So I felt like these were other like miscellaneous cards that were really good. This DD Crow could also be Lancia if you want, but I opted to choose for DD Crow because I felt like it was better in situations where Lancia is also good. Most notably, like if you're playing against Dino, that's like typically why I wanted to play the Lancia anyways. When they send Mist to grave, you can just DD Crow the Mist, and it does the same thing as Lancia. Obviously, if they can still extend it, it's worse, because then the Lancia would be better, but I felt like the DD Crow was better just in the chance that you're like technically 1-for-1 trading, whereas Lancia, they keep the Mist in the grave, and if you just set up like your normal Dryad board, then they can just banish the Mist out of their graveyard for the next turn, and you're in the same position and still kind of screwed. Whereas if you DD Crow the Mist out of the grave, it's out of the grave. So that was like the idea behind the DD Crow. It's also like really good against Invoked because you can chain this to Invocation, banish the Alistair, and they can't fuse, so that's pretty cool. Obviously, they have to fuse out of their hand if they want to, but it's pretty rough at that point. I think the Cosmic Feather Duster are pretty like self-explanatory. Then the Super Polys, obviously, these were like actually pretty good. I ended up fusing the Dragon Link. It was not Dragon Link, I don't think. I think it was the Eldritch, or not the Eldritch. What am I thinking? The Dogmatica player. I think I fused his board like once, and it was pretty cool. Judgments also like really good, just like when they force you to go first when you're expecting it. But yeah, I don't think there's anything else to say about this. Yeah, that's about it for the side deck. So I'm going to go ahead and get into my matches really quick and just explain like general things of what happened during the tournament. So it was 8 rounds, and obviously I went 5-2-1, so I got a 13, is it 13? What? No, 16 points overall, sorry. I can't do math. It's like really, I'm really tired after this whole event, but I'm going to go through them. So round 1, I played against Paleo Dino. I think I won 2-0. It was pretty good. I knew the deck pretty much in and out what I was playing against, so it was pretty easy to just, counter everything. Round 2, I got a draw against the Zoo Dogmatica Eldritch deck, so I thought he was playing Pure Zoo until game 2 he started revealing Dogmatica cards, and I was really confused, and then towards the end of the game he started revealing Eldritch cards, so I was like, what do I side? I ended up deciding to side the DD Crows because I felt like it was good against the Eldritch, the Dogmatica, and the Zoo, so no matter what, the DD Crows were good, but unfortunately I didn't see them. And then we ended up getting a draw just because time rules are pretty rough. Shoutouts to Konami for also giving us 50 minutes on this instead of 40. I know remote duels take a little bit longer, so I really do appreciate that, but I still feel like it could be a little bit longer, personally, but that is just me. Anyways, round 3, I got a loss against Invoke Dogmatica. I think this is the one where I misplayed and put the Macabre in defense mode. which I should put in attack mode, so that cost me the match. Round 4, I got a loss versus Striker. This deck does nothing against Striker. You can evenly them, which is kind of cool. That's about it. All of your Zoodiac, or like Drident, pop their Link, does nothing. Drident pop their Field Spell, does nothing. The only thing Drident is good for is popping the multi-roll, and that's about it. Yeah, that's like literally it. Everything else sucks. So yeah, I lost to Striker pretty convincingly. He 2-0'd me. Round 5, I won versus Infernoble Knight. I believe game 1, I just like sided, or I just like hit him with like a Gamma, then like Nibiru, or like something like that, and he was just like, yeah, I can't play through that, and I just won. Then game 2, I believe that I ended up losing that somehow. I don't remember the exact context of it, but I think I just like ended up bricking, drawing like 4 zoos or something, and I just couldn't play. And then game 3, I just he thought I was gonna go first, but I decided everything to go second and just went all in. He thought I was going first, so he decided all his stuff to go first, and I was just like, yeah, you can go first, and he bricked, and he just like set one pass, and I was just like, all right, sure, and then I won, so it was pretty cool. Round 6, I played against a Invoked Shaddoll Dogmatica player, so it was pretty good. The Shaddoll Schism card was really important in that matchup, because he could just keep continuously fusing out of the grave. But that is why I play like Cosmic, because you can just obviously chain when they try to fuse, and then you can banish it. That's like really good. But yeah, and then obviously like the Merkaba came out like towards, I think in game 3, he just like never used Maximus till game 3, and then he was just like super caught off guard by it, and it basically like lost him the game. So it was pretty sick. That matchup was actually a lot of fun. And then round 7, we played against PK Warrior Link, so I guess it was like technically another Infernoble player. I actually couldn't tell because I never saw like enough of his deck list, because I just basically straight up 2-0'd him. Game 1, I just drew all the hand traps. Game 2, I drew a couple of hand traps, but he still ended up playing through it, and he, like, I Nibiru'd him, and then he just turned it into Link Spider, made a Dragoon. And at that point, I just had to add a Dragoon, and I Gamma'd the Dragoon when I activated, I believe, Tenki. And then at that point, he also, like, Solemn Judgment and something, and so he brought him down really low. And then I ended up using one of my zoos, and I got it up to 28 with the Tiger Mortar, or sorry, not Tiger. I used Tiger and I get it to 28, but I had Thora Blade and Whiptail, so it made it 28. I hit him directly with Borbo. And then I used my Omega that I made with, that I negated, like, you know, some of the driver Gamma. And I turned that into Omega, and then I swung over the Verte, and it was game. So it was pretty convincingly, like, easy. If I didn't kill him off of that, I could have just made a Zeus and then sent the Dragoon. So, like, I was, like, in a really commanding position. So it was a really fun game. Well, I mean, fun for me. I think he just kind of got slaughtered. I played through his board really well. And then round 8, I played against another Invoked Dogmatica player, and then obviously Merkaba came out, and it was pretty bad for him. I 2-0'd him quite easily, since I had a lot of like ideas of how to play against Dogmatica, because I played against it like the whole tournament, so it was like really easy. Especially because like I think towards the end, or like game 2, he drew a ton of just like negation, like effect failure, or not effect failure, but like infinite impermanence droplets type cards. And yeah, that was totally fine. I was just like, sure, you can negate it, I'll just overlay another zoo, and now my zoo's back to the same amount of attack. I'll still attack, you know, like I still do my stuff. So like it just did nothing. He like normaled Alistair, and then I chained Gamma, and then he just only had like interruption spells, like defensive cards, and I was just like, yeah, I'll just get a free win basically. So it was pretty easy. Non-destruction negation is like pretty bad against Zoo, so I enjoyed that matchup thoroughly. But yeah, that's going to do it for today's video. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you have any questions, leave them down in the comment section below. But once again, I got 28th place, and it was 64 ticket invites. So, I mean, top 32 is pretty nice. And yeah, join the Discord link in the description below. It's a lot of fun, I promise. With all that said, I will see you guys hopefully tomorrow. If I am not tired enough, I will try and upload the Yu-Gi-Oh! On a budget. Alright, see ya.